Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are taking a long, hard look at a figure whose every single move seems to spark, well, a global headline. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex.
It's constant.
It is. We've pulled together a whole stack of material legal analyses, business reports, even her own media projects, all to really understand her strategic pivot, into entrepreneurship, how she's handling celebrity, and this ongoing tension with the royal family.
And that's our mission today. We want to move past the noise, or maybe analyze why the noise is so loud and so profitable for some. We're looking at the strategic calculus behind what she's calling her second act.
So the brand, the media criticism.
Exactly. How she's scaling her lifestyle brand, how she's dealing with a media that frankly seems impossible to please, and the status of her royal position amid all these rumored reforms.
And you really couldn't find a better example of the world she lives in than two recent events. On one hand, you have the peak of Hollywood glam.
Right.
Her showing up at Kris Jenner's massive 70th birthday party on November 8th.
Right.
I mean, that's pure A-list territory.
Absolutely. But at the same time, this other photo comes out of her with the celebrity astrologer Angela Pearl. And it included a look at a personal letter from October where she's talking about her concern for the astrologer's family's safety in Ukraine.
So that's the collision right there.
That is the collision you have to track. It's global humanitarian concern, it's personal spirituality, and it's rubbing shoulders with the world's most famous reality TV family. That defines her space right now.
Okay, so let's unpack that collision. Because the Kris Jenner party, it became a real flashpoint, and fast.
It did. Harry was there in a black dinner jacket, Meghan in a strapless dress. But what was supposed to be a private party, well, it didn't stay private for long.
Because Kris and Kim started posting photos.
Immediately, they shared these cozy photos from inside the party. They were treating the Sussex's attendance like this huge get. And that's when, the royal establishment reacted.
With predictable fury, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Our sources cite royal insiders who just slammed the outing. They called it tacky. Yeah, arguing that the pure ostentatiousness of that whole celebrity world completely clashes with the toned-down monarchy Prince William is trying to build. They basically said Harry is now so far removed from his family.
And of course, there were the claims she was in full networking mode.
Always. But here's where the strategy gets really interesting. The photos. They vanished almost as quickly as they appeared.
Right, that's the key maneuver. The reports say their own team actually requested the images be taken down.
Yes, and two reasons were floated. One, that they don't want to piss off the royal family while they're trying to reconcile. Or two, and this is crucial, it was out of respect for Remembrance Day in the UK.
Because Harry was wearing a poppy in the photo.
He was. But if you just look at it strategically, that move to scrub the images, it kind of undermines their whole narrative of being unapologetic and independent, doesn't it?
It really does. It plays right into the critics' hands. That they want the Hollywood status, but are still afraid of what London thinks.
And it seems the cleanup attempt just made everyone mad. We're told the Kardashian-Jenner clan was annoyed with the Sussex camp.
Why?
Because the drama over taking the photos down ended up overshadowing Kris's actual birthday. So you see, it's almost impossible to navigate that space without creating conflict somewhere.
Which is a perfect segue into this theme we saw across the sources.
Yeah.
This no-win dynamic she faces with the media. And the Remembrance Poppy is the perfect example.
It's almost a perfect case study.
So 2025. She goes to the Jenner party. She does not have a poppy on.
Yeah.
And the British media immediately slams her for a silent dig.
Yep, a silent big at veterans. They called it embarrassing for Harry.
Okay. But then you look back at 2024. She did wear a poppy in an Archwell video.
And she got slammed then, too. She was called a fraud, and they criticized these tiny details, like the fact that her poppy didn't have the little green leaf. The outrage always finds a way.
So if you wear it, you're performative. If you don't wear it, you're disrespectful. There's no right answer.
And this is where you have to look at the economics of it all. Analysts see this perpetual outrage cycle as, well, a business model. It's designed to keep the public angry and generate income from the conflict.
The conflict is the product.
The conflict is the economic engine. She's talked about how these organizations are incentivized to churn out as many stories, false or damaging or whatnot, to feed the beast because that's paying them.
So with that in mind, with this caricature being built just for clicks, how does she actually fight back? How does she take control?
Well, she took them to court, and she won on the principle of privacy,
Right, the lawsuit against Associated Newspapers.
for misusing her private information and copyright infringement over that letter she wrote to her father, and that ruling was so significant.
Why? Beyond just the personal win for her.
Because the court basically drew a line in the sand. It reinforced that just because you're a public figure, you don't give up all your rights to a private life. Publishing that letter was manifestly excessive and hence unlawful. She won a battle that reinforces privacy for everyone in the public eye.
That's a huge legal victory.
Yeah.
But personally, I mean, the psychological pressure of it all must be just immense.
Well, her philosophy on it is fascinating. She compartmentalizes. She says the negative stories, they're not about her. They're about a fabricated caricature that's been created to get clicks.
So she separates herself from it.
Her defense is basically, it's not me that they're talking about. And you can see how that mindset is essential for what she's doing now, which is focusing entirely on building her business.
So let's talk about that business. The entrepreneurial second act. The brand, which we now know is called As Ever.
And the velocity is incredible. They're currently selling jams, rose wine, flower sprinkles, and the early metrics just prove the Meghan effect is real.
How real?
The first run of her rose wine sold out in 44 minutes.
44 minutes, wow. But, going from that initial splash to actually scaling a business, that's where things get really complex.
Exactly, and her team learned fast. For the second drop, they reportedly increased the inventory by 10 times. They figured that would last for weeks.
And it didn't.
It sold out in a couple of hours. And that rapid success, it just changed the entire conversation for them overnight.
So how do you go from an artisanal success to an industrial scale?
Well, the conversation inside the company went from a few thousand jars and lids to, and this is a direct quote, the next purchase order of 1 million.
1 million units.
1 million units. So you have to understand that's a jump from being a cute startup to negotiating massive supply chain contracts, global logistics. It's where a lot of these lifestyle brands can completely fall apart.
And there's a specific pricing strategy behind all of this, isn't there?
It's very intentional, and it connects right back to her own story. She priced her first hero product, the jam, at $9.
$9.
Because she said she remembers being her 15-year-old self saving up for a Bebe shirt. She wanted her brand to feel aspirational, but not, as she said, so aspirational you're never going to be able to afford it.
And she's not doing this alone. The support to scale this big, this fast,
Yeah.
it's coming from a pretty powerful partner.
It's Netflix. They're her partner and investor, and they're specifically providing access to suppliers and manufacturers. This is huge because she can leverage their whole consumer products division. But importantly, she keeps total creative control. They told her, this is your baby.
And that Netflix deal includes content. Season 2 of her show, With Love, Meghan, came out.
It did, dropped in August. It focuses on cooking, gardening, friendship. It got mixed reviews. The viewership numbers were, 5.3 million views, ranking 383rd.
So how does she respond to the critics of the show?
With some pretty smart media strategy. She suggests the negative voices are probably just secretly going home and making single skillet spaghetti. It's a clever way to frame your critics as secret customers.
She also had to deal with that whole trad wives critique, right? The idea that she's promoting this kind of backward traditional homemaker image.
She rejected that label completely. She said joy is in the middle ground. And she gave these really relatable examples, ordering takeout but plating it beautifully, or using frozen chicken nuggets for the kids' dinner but adding fresh broccoli from the garden.
She's grounding the brand in reality.
In the reality of a busy, modern parent, it's a rejection of that pressure to be perfect. And you can trace that back to her earliest days. This is someone who worked her first job at 13 at a yogurt shop.
For yogurt.
That's the one. And later, when she was an auditioning actor, she supported herself with her calligraphy skills. She did the wedding invitations for Robin Thicke and Paula Patton. This drive has always been there.
Okay, so let's pivot. Because hanging over all this business success is this royal thundercloud. The threat to their titles seems very real.
Oh, it's intense. The reports claim Prince William is just done with them and plans to strip their titles when he becomes king.
As part of a streamlined monarchy.
Exactly. A monarchy where your title reflects active service, not just who you were born to.
But it's not as simple as just signing a paper, is it?
No, far from it. Legally, the monarch can remove the HRH style, his or her Royal Highness, with something called letters patent. But stripping the dukedom of Sussex, the actual peerage, that's much more complex.
How so?
That would likely require an act of parliament. That is a major political undertaking. You need the government on board. You need cross-party agreement. It's a huge lift.
So it's a real threat, but a hard one to actually execute.
Mm.
Meanwhile, their foundation, Archwell, is tackling some massive global issues.
They're still very focused on things like social justice, mental health. They won the Humanitarians of the Year award in October, and tech safety. But their latest move was huge.
What was that?
They joined a coalition of scientists and public figures calling for a global ban on the development of artificial superintelligence. They're positioning themselves on the front lines of what they see as an existential risk.
So they're playing on this global policy stage while also launching JAM.
Yeah.
How does she reconcile all of this? The titles, the business, the politics. How does she define herself in all this chaos?
She brings it right back to the basics. She's clarified that her legal name is a Meghan Duchess of Sussex, but that Sussex is now just their family name for her and the kids. Her final word on it is that despite all the roles and the pressure, I'm still the same person. She says she's really comfortable in your own skin.
That paints an incredible picture. On one side, you have this curated, super ambitious entrepreneur planning a million-unit purchase order. And on the other, she's constantly battling a media machine that literally profits from creating a destructive caricature of her.
And that tension right there between the real person she wants to be and the caricature that makes so much money for others, that's the central conflict in all her sources. Her success really depends on the public buying into her authenticity. But here's the thought I want to leave you with. Considering the massive financial incentive driving the media coverage against her, and that very real political threat to her titles, what happens to the Meghan effect and to her business if the public eventually decides the caricature is more believable than the real person?